Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, Review Guy, and I'm back again to bring you another video, and in this one I'm going to be covering the new Within Temptation album entitled Resist. So Within Temptation, the Dutch symphonic metal band formed in 1996. This is their 7th studio-length album, and to be honest, this was one of my most anticipated albums going forward into 2019. I even mentioned it in my most anticipated albums of 2019 video. Most of that comes from the background of this album. In 2014, they released Hydra, which was an album that I was a little bit lukewarm on for how tiresome the symphonic metal elements really got on that album, and how theatrical and bombastic, in my opinion, it was. But when Sharon Den Adel, the lead vocalist, she had writer's block. She had some issues that she had to handle, so she took off some time, and then when she came back, there was like some interviews where she was saying they were taking influences from pop, rock, electronic music, and it got me excited because even though symphonic metal is a genre that I am very picky with, I do think that Within Temptation does it in a way that is theatrical without feeling too bombastic. They do come off as a little over the top sometimes, but that's when you gotta remind yourself, that's the point of this type of music. And to be honest, I have to say, this album shocked me. I really love this thing. I don't think that the bombastic feelings of their previous work or of symphonic metal really feel that way on this. Sharon gives amazing vocal performances across this entire album, and the lyricism really accompanies it. The drums are driving, they are commanding, they are prominent. Sometimes they can drown out these electronics and guitars and bass, but not in a bad way, because they're really guiding these commanding compositions of just symphonic metal epicness, where it feels over the top, but not necessarily in a bad way. There are some great vocal features on this album as well, coming from different sides of the spectrum that you may not even think would appear on this type of album. The electronics really accompany these elements and compositions very well as well. They're adhesives. These influences that they are pulling together, I think, are adhesive. They are not bad. They do not hurt the album. They only help the album by making it more diverse, by making it a wider spectrum of sounds across this entire album that makes it more of a cohesive and bearable listen than their previous albums. And not just bearable, but very good. The Reckoning features Jacoby Shaddix. Yeah, that Jacoby Shaddix. Yeah, the Papa Roach Jacoby Shaddix. And his performance on this track trumps anything that was on Who Do You Trust. This is an amazing opener. The drums, like I said, are commanding over this instrumentation, and the horns that open up this track are absolutely beautiful, and Sharon shines when you get these lower parts in the intro. I really feel like the intro reminds me of Into the Fire by Asking Alexandria. I don't know why. It's a weird comparison. Jacoby's verse is amazing. I just gotta say, he sounds wonderful even though it's kind of short. Their verses really work well together, and on the bridge their voices meld in unison so well, and the chorus explodes into this just insanely somehow claustrophobic but still like has room to breathe type of composition, where you have just driving drums with their voices coming together to make these just insane notes of melody and harmony and symphony harmoniously that I love. It's one of the best rock/metal songs that I've heard this year so far. Endless War is another explosive track. The horns carry over onto this track in the intro, and the drums again take over this composition in a good way. Good drums, when they are demanding and dominating the composition, really do work well. I do love hearing really prominent drums in heavy metal as well as rock music, and the rock influence on this album is undeniable. It feels like a hard rock album sometimes more than a symphonic metal album. This album draws more from the pop rock, the rock, and the electronic playbook than it does the symphonic metal playbook, and while they aren't leaving behind their roots on this album, songs like Endless War and songs like The Reckoning really show that they're going into this direction of just arena rock anthems that are swirling, that are heavy, that are just walls of blasting drums and not technical but really catchy melodies coming out of the guitars and bass, and the keyboards that litter themselves across this album being very well played, the electronics shimmering and accompanying it. like on the track Supernova, which is like an EDM hard rock banger, and it is fairly long, and I do love the lyrics on this track. Supernova is a standout, and I know a lot of people thought that the EDM didn't help. I think that, once again, as I said before, it's an adhesive. It only adds more dimension and more depth to the composition at hand. I do enjoy it quite a bit. Anders Fredén of In Flames appears on the track Raise Your Banner, and while this isn't the best track, and it is probably my least favorite on the album, I can respect what it's doing in terms of that heavy hard rock feel, but Anders appearing on this track is completely and entirely obsolete and irrelevant. He provides a couple screams on the intro to the chorus, but for the most part, he is non-existent on this track. If you took him away, I don't think that it would take anything away from the track itself, and I really was disappointed that they did not utilize him more on this track, but what are you gonna do? On Holy Ground, the electronics and piano cause this amazing atmosphere to form, where Sharon is just lully type of singing over this. Very pretty, but still serious, still sounding epic, like a battle commander almost. It is the strangest thing. And once again, this explodes into a massive chorus of driving guitars and drums pounding with some insane higher vocals. Trophy Hunter returns to some of that symphonic metal territory, but still with those hard rock influences, don't get me wrong. Sharon sounds amazing on this track. It's the ender of the album, and you want it to be something good, and you want it to stick the landing, and it really does. She sounds amazing on this track. She sounds gut-wrenching and heartwarming and powerful. The soulful singing incorporating this reminds me somewhat of a Nightwish song. When it comes down to it, I don't have that many problems with this album, and it's a really nice listen, and there are a ton more songs on it that I like than I don't, and this is an album worth your listen, 100%, and the only issue that I really have is sometimes the choruses can feel a bit repetitive when it gets that, like, crushing, just explosive chorus when you're getting them track after track, but when they're performed with this much heart and passion, they don't feel as plastic as they did maybe on previous Within Temptation albums and previous kind of symphonic metal albums that I've checked out, where it feels plastic, it feels like cardboard, it doesn't feel like it's really holding much value there. This feels like it's coming from the heart, this feels like it's passionate, and the compositions are not that long. It's not too long. I think that a lot of symphonic metal albums can be a bit long, same with kind of power metal, but for the most part, I really dug into this album. What can I say? I did really enjoy this. It was really worth the wait. It was the longest studio silence from this band, and they came through with a hit. I really do enjoy this album. For that, I'm going to be giving it an 8 out of 10. Is that a wrap? That's a wrap. I didn't see you there. Hi, have you heard this album? If you have, what were your thoughts of it? You can leave a like on this video, it helps me out a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, I upload regularly, and smash that notification bell to be notified of when I do upload. I will be talking to you guys next time, but until then, my name is J Morse, Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.